Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is author Evelyne Blau and singer, songwriter, guitarist, musician of all kinds of music, Trevor Lissauer. Author, filmmaker Evelyne Blau was born and raised in New York City. She attended the Rudolf Steiner School and then studied Hindu dance. That was a really unique turn to take as after high school. How did it happen?
Well, what happened was that I was a dance student and studying ballet and modern dance.
I see.
And then I had the priceless opportunity to see a perfectly wonderful Indian dancer named Uday Shankar. Shankar was the brother of the now famous Ravi Shankar, the musician. And when he first came to New York and one had an opportunity to see Indian dance, it was mind-boggling. You had never seen movements, hand gestures, head gestures, facial expressions, because ballet is so different, and ballet moves in a very different
way.
Whereas Indian dance, every part of the body is doing something different. And the story is told through the gestures of the hand. And so as you're a student of dance, of Indian dance, you learn about the philosophy. That is the outcome of that, and I think that's how I started.
Was it difficult, though, of not having that ethnic origin to learn the things or to feel a part of it? Did they accept you or reject you?
I studied actually with an American woman who had lived and studied in India. So, and she had classes in New York, so I wasn't actually in India doing that at the time.
I see.
But the dance was a glorious introduction to Indian philosophy.
Then you said you danced with your sister.
Yes, we danced in various clubs. Now, at that time, this is a while back, at that time, no one was familiar with Indian music, and nor the dance. So we danced to jazz, and jazz is, in a sense, it's linked because it's improvisational. And so there is a relationship between Indian music and jazz.
That's interesting. Did you spend time then in India during that period or after?
No, that came afterward. Came afterward.
So did you finish your dance career and then go into the philosophy of Indian?
Yes. As I stopped dancing, got married, etc., all of those things, then I heard through my mother that this great teacher was going to be speaking in California. By that time I had moved to California. And he came to Ojai, I heard him, and I was really taken with what he had to say, because he was a person who set you free. He didn't want to embed you in a philosophy, in a religion, with rules, regulations. He wanted you to find out for yourself and study for yourself, observe your own reactions to things.
And that was?
And that was Krishnamurti, and he had been an international speaker. He traveled around the world yearly and spoke in Switzerland and England and India.
Well, is this a religion? Is it a religion?
No, it is not a religion. However, it is, one hesitates to say a philosophy, but you have to find out for yourself. You have to observe yourself. And Krishnamurti felt very strongly that there shouldn't be any gurus, any masters, any teachers or saviors. You're on your own.
Oh, I see. Well, then it's a development of your own character. Does someone help you get to a certain point?
No, you're on your own. Now, and that's the hard part, I think, because very often people they want help, they want guidance, they want someone to
tell
them, take them by the hand and take them to the promised land.
Right.
that's not going to happen with
Well, this is
Krishnamurti.
30 years after
Yes.
this first lecture. This is 30 years later. You've been more than 30 years, because you've been a trustee on the Krishnamurti
Foundation. Yes,
for
30 years.
and a secretary, and they're
Yes.
it's based in Ojai.
Yes, it's based in Ojai, California, and there are foundations and committees around the world. There's a foundation in England, there's one in India, and incidentally, many schools. Krishnamurti was very interested in education and having children have an opportunity to learn and to absorb things for themselves.
Well, what do they do in these foundations? Do they teach?
Well, during Krishnamurti's lifetime, he would come yearly to Ojai, for example, and give a series of talks, and then people would become interested. He was the author of many books, so one could buy books and read books, but you were really on your own.
This is a great photograph of him down here by Yusuf Karsh.
Karsh,
I
yes.
think it's wonderful.
I think that's a beautiful picture.
And you went on then to produce 2 feature films about after he died.
Yes. Well,
Was it after he died?
The first one, which was The Challenge of Change, was during his lifetime.
I see.
And to do that, I traveled with the director of the film, Michael Mendiza. We traveled to Switzerland, to England, to India, etc., and to California, of course, to shoot that film. And then after Krishnamurti died, which was in 1986, then there was a film with interviews and recollections of people, witnesses to a very extraordinary life, I think.
Then that must have come out of this 100 years.
Yes.
Because when I was reading this last night, there's a lot of Q&A that you've done with certain people, interesting people.
Yes.
And writings by followers? Or friends?
Krishnamurti, well, both, but you see, Krishnamurti really disavowed having followers.
So that's interesting to me.
Yes, because I think one of the things about organized religions is that you have to follow in a certain path. But Krishnamurti said you have to be free. You have to come to it yourself. In fact, in 1929, he made a very interesting speech in which he said he wanted to set man absolutely and unconditionally free.
And he did. He spoke at the UN.
Yes.
He spoke at many.
Yes. He spoke around the world at the at Carnegie Hall in New York, and at the United Nations, etc. But just to go back to those early days, there was a wonderful joke that he told when he gave this extraordinary speech in 1929 when he disavowed any organizations. And the story, this joke is that the devil and a friend were walking along, and there was a man walking in front of them, and he stooped down and picked something up. And the friend said to the devil, "What did that man pick up? What did he drop?" And the devil said, "He's picking up a piece of the truth." And then the man said, "Well, that's very bad for you." And he said, "Not at all. I'm going to let him organize it." So the organization was what? Now, despite the fact that there is a foundation which sees to it that the schools are run, that the books are published, because Krishnamurti had something to say.
This is in leading to that, you've done a series of 12 VHS films that are like for teaching purposes.
Exactly, and they are a way of coming to meditation, conflict, each topic that Krishnamurti would address.
What were the other topics? Meditation,
conflict, being a light to yourself, and
a light.
Yes, death, love, all of the topics that are so pertinent to our lives. This is our daily life. And this is
these are the meditations, which I think are great because it gives you a chance to read and think for yourself each day, right?
Exactly.
But this one this nature book, which I thought was great.
All
It's
the
about
Marvelous
nature.
Earth, yes.
All the Marvelous Earth. You have one picture here that you thought was wonderful for us to see.
I think it is.
But as he goes on, this book, which you edited, has his sayings coupled
Yes.
with a
the nature
photograph.
photographs.
From photographs from all over the world.
Yes, I worked with a man who was has a photo agency and supplies pictures to all kinds of nature interest
I see.
groups.
So you got to choose what you wanted.
Yes, yes, and it was fascinating to find pictures that would blend with what Krishnamurti had to say.
I'm going to hold this up so maybe they can see the picture, but I think what he wrote here, have you any relationship with nature, with the birds, with the water of that river? All rivers are holy, but getting more and more polluted. You may call it Ganga, the Thames, the Nile, the Rhine, the Mississippi, or the Volga. What is your relationship with all that? With the trees, with the birds, with all the living things that we call nature? Aren't we a part of all that? So aren't we the environment?
Yes.
I think that is so great because we don't think about ourselves as being the environment.
We are an integral part of the environment, and we don't recognize it. Although I must say, I feel that there is more of an interest today in nature and in the environment than ever before, and that was the purpose of this book.
Evelyne, I'm so glad you were with us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate your coming, and thank you for watching Evelyne Blau, and try to get some of these books and read this philosophy. It's very simple and
It is
for
now.
everyone.
It is now.
It is now, is right.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with our singer-guitarist, Trevor Lissauer.
Thank you.
Oh, that was
All right.
so fast. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back with singer, songwriter, musician Trevor Lissauer. Trevor was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and after graduating from high school, where he had acted in several plays, he headed to LA. Why, Trevor, didn't you go to New York if you were going to act?
Well, I was going to, but I was going to go to college first in Santa Fe, then go to New York and try to do, like, you know, Broadway and stuff.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah, well, then I came out to visit a friend in LA, and there was a guy there who was a manager who I actually knew from high school and hooked me up with an agent, and I was like, well, I'm just going to stay in LA, and I started to just do acting in LA.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Were you singing at the time?
I've been playing guitar since I was like 14, but it was just something to do for fun. And
But you got a lot of roles.
I got a lot of roles. I started working right away.
Where were you working? What were you doing? I don't have a background of the roles you were. I mean, any of the movies or TV.
I've done a lot of like, you know, stuff that's not like amazing. You know, I think my first role was first audition. I booked my first audition, and it was a lead in a Roger Corman movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really cheesy. It's called The Skateboard Kid, with a flying, talking skateboard with the voice of Dom DeLuise.
And that's what. And you were in that right away.
I was a skateboard kid right away. Yeah.
And then did that just keep leading to other films, or did you do TV?
I did a lot of. I was doing commercials and TV shows and pilots and like at some NBC Saturday morning show on.
Were you taking acting lessons?
No.
It's just your style?
Yeah, I was just doing it. You know, I just was like, this is, you know, I'll just try it. You know.
You were lucky.
I was lucky.
And you were lucky, you were probably good, and you reached a pinnacle of having a lot of parts.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, I just finished doing Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I did that for 2 seasons.
Oh, you did?
And then that was about, I don't know, I guess a year ago, a year and a half ago or something like that. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
But at 14, you wrote your first song, so you were really into music.
Yeah. I was always writing and always playing, and then everyone was saying, you should do music, you should do music. And I was like, no, I'm an actor, And then a year ago, I just kind of...
Then you were, when you were also a child, you were playing drums, guitar, What else? Keyboard.
Yeah. I wasn't that great at the drums though. I just had a set. I was always messing around.
But you sang your first your first music with your drums in the background.
Yeah, I'd write a song to drums, which is kind of strange, but yeah, I was doing that.
I was going to say, when you write your music now, what do you use?
The guitar.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you use music? Do you use a piano?
No, it's just the guitar. I have keyboards and stuff, but that's like background stuff.
Well, here you were in Dallas. You had, every time you went over to see your dad, you had, I don't know, different instruments there to play with.
Well, he had a guitar.
And that was it?
That was it, yeah. And I just kind of like asked if I could play it one day.
So this was really in your background. I mean, you really had this music lurking there, waiting to come out.
Yeah, it was lurking.
Did you give up acting?
You know, I haven't really been into it in the past year and a half. It's like if I might take a meeting for a film or something, but it's like there's a big shift, and all of a sudden I was just like, music. My heart's going music.
And
music.
You love it. And you perform in venues all over the city. I mean, the Derby, Hotel Cafe.
I play the Hotel Cafe once a month now.
Do you?
Yeah, so that's my gig.
But you do all these other places, or you've done all these other places.
I've done these other places, now I've settled into the Hotel Cafe.
And you wrote a CD.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold this up just so we can talk about it. What's the name of it?
Transit Plaza.
Oh, that's the great thing. It's very dramatic. Everyone's coming and going from one spot.
Yeah, it's cool.
How'd you write the lyrics?
How? Well, a lot of my lyrics come from just like relationships I have, you know, girlfriends, I guess, you know. So, you know, something goes bad, it makes me write a song. And then I have an album.
How long did it take to write a CD?
Well, it took us like 7 months to make it, but some of the songs I'd written like 5 years ago.
Oh, so you just pulled them all together?
Yeah, some are new, some are old, and I just kind of pushed them together. So 7 months to record it, a few more months to like mix it, and then...
Let's talk about that, because you have a producer who does that.
Yeah.
And how does that work? Do you work with him?
Yeah, I hired him, and then I bring in the songs, and we record them, and then he'll give me ideas, kind of bounce them off me, and I give him ideas, and he's kind of like the director of a film, but he directs the music.
And you have to go for it. I mean, do
I don't
you respect him? Do you respect him so that you want to go for what he's doing?
Yeah, I'm very open to ideas. I mean, if I don't like something, I'll say it, you know.
One of the things that I read in your bio is that you collect all kinds of instruments. Not only do you play them, but you collect them.
Yeah.
And what influenced you to start collecting guitars?
Well, I saw Kurt Cobain on MTV Unplugged play a Martin D18E, which is this.
Hold it up, because it's like,
I'd never
what's
seen
so
it.
special about this?
Well, okay, there's only 302 that were made, and they were made in 1959, and it's a Martin, and Martin's been around since 1831. They're a pretty good guitar company. What's special about it is that, well, it's got two big metal pickups on the face of the guitar. And it's got a switch to go back and forth.
What does that mean?
Well, guitar plugs in right here.
Okay.
Plug it into an amp. It's an electric acoustic, and back then it was very rare if you ever saw one in the 50s. So.
So this is the switch that.
This is the top pickup. This is the bottom pickup, and this is both. And they create different sounds when you plug it in. And this is treble and bass for this one. This is volume for both of them, and treble and bass for that one. So
how does it differ from a guitar today? Do guitars have these knobs on them?
They don't. Well, most acoustic electrics just have like a pickup that's inside and takes a battery, and it doesn't have the outside pickups, and they're just really rare to look like this. So you can't play this, though? No, you can play it. Can you? But it doesn't have to be amplified? No, it can be like but you plug it in, it has a different sound. It's more like electric. But do you use this? I use it sometimes. I mean, it's not just part of a collection that you put away. No, I actually play it. How many of these do you have? I've got one of these. But then, because it's so rare. Yeah. And some are probably in museums around the world, or possibly. I don't know. They're really hard to find, though. And then Martin made two other acoustic electrics back then, and I got one of those, one of each of those. But then you have other kinds too. Yeah, I've got some old Martins, like a '73, that actually looks just like this. 1973. Yeah. But it doesn't have any of the knobs or this stuff. And when you're on stage, what do you use? I use a 1973 Martin D28.
Oh, you do use an old?
Yeah, all the guitars I play are vintage. I have some new ones that I kind of knock around guitars.
And do other people in town use only new things? I mean, is this special to use a vintage?
For me, it is. I kind of like the way the old stuff sounds, the old instruments. Because the older the wood, the better the sound. But when you plug it in, it's different than when you don't plug it in. So
is it mellow? I mean, has it like a mellowy kind of?
It's kind of hard to describe.
Is it? It's hard to describe.
It sounds just like an acoustic guitar when you plug it in, except it's just louder. And the strings are more sensitive because there's like a pickup on it.
I think one of the funny things you said is that you have so many vintage guitars you can fill a museum one time. You'll be collecting to fill a museum. And I was going to ask you if you'd been up to Seattle to the Experience Music Project.
I haven't been to Seattle.
Because it's filled with guitars, and I bet you would just absolutely love it. It's a Frank Gehry building, the architect, and it's just up your alley. Vintage.
I've heard about it. Yeah, I'd love to go check it out.
So when you sit down to write, what is your actual process of writing a song?
Well, you know, for me, it's usually I'll be listening to some music that I enjoy, and I get all inspired. Like, you know, I want to get home so I can just start writing a song.
But like any music, or is it?
Like the music that I'm into. Like I really dig Elliott Smith. He's a singer-songwriter. The Beatles, John Lennon.
Oh, just going back to the old.
Yeah, I'm into more of that kind of stuff. But I like.
And then you make it contemporary?
I don't know. I just kind of write. I like Beck too. You know.
Well, he's contemporary, right?
Yeah. So it's like, I just start.
Then what do? You pick up your guitar. Do you write down? Do you write the lyrics?
A lot of times the tune starts in my head.
So you would
and
just.
I pick it up and I relate it to the guitar. I find the chords for that tune, and then words just start popping out, and I get a piece of paper and start writing them down, and then I go, how's that sound with the tune?
That's how you do it?
Yeah. It just kind of comes together at the same time.
So you don't write a whole melody and then sit down and put words to it. You're going back and forth.
Sometimes I'll have like a tune in my head for a while, and I can't find any lyrics that match it. So I'll just have it. And then like 2 years later, I'll find the lyrics.
Is that right? And you'll keep that tune in your head all that time?
Yeah, I don't know how it happens.
How does it?
I don't know. It does. I'll take like 3 different songs that weren't totally complete, and I combine them to make one song. And I go, oh, that's perfect.
Do you go to the piano then? Does that help you?
Sometimes. I'm a way better guitarist, but I do mess around with the piano.
Do you take lessons now for anything?
I take a sitar. I play the sitar.
Oh, you do? So that's a new.
Yeah.
That's how many strings?
That's like 21.
How'd you learn how to play that?
I just take lessons for like 6 months. I'm still taking it like once a week. It's a really hard instrument. You have to sit really weird. You have to sit like in a yoga position and be like this.
You really do?
Yeah, your foot comes up and it rests on your heel.
And why? What does that do? Does that give a prop for the instrument?
Yeah, it props it up so it's like here and then. And
then it's so many strings and it's so high that you have to go into
the bottom string. It's like a harp saying. You just kind of go ring. You know?
So are you always doing that?
No, they vibrate when you play the top 7 strings. So they're just there, but they make
sound. So do you sing to that?
Not really. You can though. You know what? On my next CD, I'm going to put it in there in some songs, but
what you do is, I guess, when you make your CDs, you bring these funny instruments in. Funny. I mean, interesting. They're funny, but they're interesting.
Yeah.
So they give you these different kinds of sounds, I guess.
Yeah, totally. So I have like a dulcimer.
Oh yeah, and you also know how to blow a didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo, yeah.
How do you do that?
You have to like.
That's an Australian.
Yeah.
Aborigine
instrument. You have to like circular breathe, so you have to like blow out your mouth and inhale through your nose at the same time. So you're like going, like, it's really hard.
Who teaches you that?
I had a friend who could play, and he taught me how. And
do you have one?
Yeah, I got 3 digits.
Well, how big are they? They're not very big, are they?
No, they're big.
Are they?
Yeah, like 6 feet tall.
Are they?
5
and then how do you hold them?
Like this, you know.
You
can hold it like that, or I've got.
Yeah, I can't remember that they were that big. And Aborigines are not very big people, so they're like holding this.
Have you met an Aboriginal person?
Well, I've been in.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't met any before.
Oh, that's interesting. What other instruments would you mix in?
I have a harmonium. You know what a harmonium is?
No, I was going to ask you. It's not a harmonica.
No, it's like it's a little keyboard, and there's a pump, and you pump it, and you press on the keys. The air makes it. It's kind of like an accordion, but it's just.
But it's stable.
Yeah, it's an Indian instrument.
Well, that is too.
And then the flute and the piccolo.
How'd you get interested in all these different instruments?
Well, I just would be at a music store and go, wow, I'd love to learn how to play that, or just mess around with it. And so I just buy it. come home and just start messing around with it.
And you teach yourself?
Yeah, the sitar I'm getting lessons, but everything else I just kind of...
And does it work the way you've taught yourself?
Yeah. Like, I never had a guitar lesson.
Ever?
Ever. My dad showed me how to play one chord, and from there I just kind of picked things up from other musicians and just kind of went with it, bought guitar books, played a lot of Beatles songs, and I would learn, oh, that's a cool chord, you know?
That's so great. I'm so impressed with you.
Oh, thanks.
I'm very impressed. Is LA better than Dallas?
Yeah, you know. I mean, my life is different because I'm older, so yeah, it's better for the life I'm living now.
And where do we go with this life?
You know, play bigger shows, do big tours.
That's it?
You know?
Okay.
Get married, have kids, you know?
We're gonna look for bigger shows and better work.
Yeah.
Lift your guitar for us. And I'm going to thank everyone for watching you, and thank you for being here with us today, Trevor Lissauer. And keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017.